This is Shane Gross, and you're listening to episode 98 of the Who's on Top podcast.
And welcome back to episode 98 of the Who's on Top podcast. We're almost at 100, but we still have 2 episodes to go, and we have a great one today. We got the full cast and then some. We got our favorite guest back, and we got an NFL mock draft unlike what we've ever done before. And the Red Sox finally scored a run. Woo! Baby! Things are looking up. But let's introduce the analyst before we get into that. Let's start a little bit. Let's start with the man down in Rutgers, the Joe Buck of Rutgers College baseball, Ellis Gordon. How you doing, Ellis?
Good, guys. How are you, Foxy?
I am doing well. Let's move on to the man in Johns Hopkins, the Frisbee captain. Nope.
Those are two different people.
Sorry, I'm distracted by the Red Sox. Okay. The fencing captain, Jeremy Giles. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm good. And as always, at your service.
And we just went to a Syracuse Mets game together. And of course, he had to whip out the fan duel. He doesn't care about the facts. He just cares about his winnings. Jacob Kasdan, how you doing? Jacob, it was nice to see you.
It was
very nice to see you.
But yeah, I'm doing great. Super excited. So let's talk some sports.
All right, and we've got one more, of course. Our favorite guest is back. He's coming in straight from a Canadian library. Max Crosby. Max, you're picking for the Patriots today. You excited?
Hell yeah, I am. Feeling pretty sweet. I'm excited to talk a bit about some football.
And we've got one other special guest, also from Syracuse, sitting next to BDK. I wish I was there right now. Shane Gross. Going to help out with the draft today a little bit. How you feeling, Shane?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here.
All right, let's move on to the main segment. We're going to go NFL mock draft. We have 5 people here. I'm going to explain how it works. Everybody's assigned a couple of teams. Usually it's spread out by 5. So, for example, Max has the first pick, the Jaguars, and the 6th pick, the Panthers. I tried to give everyone the picks that of their favorite teams. I didn't try to. I did. Jacob has the Giants. Jeremy has both Jets picks. Max, even though I'm probably the more intense Patriots fan, I'm going to give you the Patriots, and I'll take my clear second team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But that is how we're going to do it, and I'll give the floor to our guest, Max. We're going to get 1 minute per pick, and Max, start us off with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who you've taken first overall.
All right. I'm excited. The Jaguars have been throwing around a lot of smoke screens with this pick. There's talk that they could go online. There's talk that they could go D-line. There's talk that they really like Trayvon Walker, defensive end out of Georgia, who has a really high ceiling, but is a little bit unpolished right now. But for the first overall pick, I'm going to go with Aidan Hutchinson. The Jags really sucked last year. There's a lot of things that went wrong with this team, and they are below average at most of their position. They did some really good work at improving the offense this offseason with bringing in Evan Ingram, Zay Jones, and Kristen Kirk as weapons for Trevor Lawrence. And they also brought in Brandon Scherf to bolster the O-line, and they franchise tagged Cam Robinson as well to further improve that position group. So the offense is going to be a lot better, but the defense still needs work. And Aidan Hutchinson brings skills as the highest floor edge rusher in this class, and he really plays at a premium position as well. He's a high motor player with a lot of solid leadership skills. He has a really good engine and was a successful pass rusher last year, both statistically and both in terms of film. And pairing up Hutchinson with a solid Josh Allen should massively improve the Jaguars' defense. So at number 1, I think the Jaguars are going to go with Aidan Hutchinson and massively improve their D-line. And he himself is a massive improvement over current defensive end Roy Robertson Harris.
Yeah, I'll go number 2 pick here. I got the Lions. And again, they need a lot of things. They linebackers, QBs, DBs. Thank you, Fox, for the little breakdown. But I knew that obviously anyway. But yeah, the Lions, listen, at this point, it's just a talent pick. There's a slightly better version, more talented version of the Jags. And if Aidan Hutchinson's polished, but might have a little lower ceiling, I'm going to take the guy that's less polished, but has the higher ceiling. And that would be Trayvon Walker, defensive end from Georgia, extremely explosive and following the recent trend of NFL teams which is defensive, versatile defenders. Isaiah Simmons comes to name, Micah Parsons. He can play linebacker, he can play D end because of his size and his speed. So yes, he didn't show the greatest production in that elite college defense, of course, but you got to take the upside. You got to take the speed. You got to take the versatility as a Lions fan. Immediately improves their defense. Most skilled player left with Aidan Hutchinson gone. Give me that Trayvon Walker for the Lions.
So I think we can all agree that Hutchinson and Walker are the consensus top 2 picks. 3 is where it gets interesting. The Texans are the 3rd pick, and they just have needs all over the place. No one really knows where they're going to go. They could go Kayvon Thibodeau. That's a popular pick. It's one of these offensive tackles. I'm actually going to go with one of those offensive tackles because you look at they have another pick at 13, and I think there's going to be a good D end available there, maybe Jermaine Johnson, somewhere like that. I think all those O tackles are going to go in the first 13 picks. So the one I'm going to take is Ike Ekwonu. He's the highest rated on my board. Not that refined, but he's super powerful, super athletic, and 6'4", 310. He's a big, big man, and he's just the most polished out of the 3 offensive tackles who are going to go in the first round.
All right, so next up, I have my New York Jets. And so the thing about the Jets are similar to the Texans in that we need pretty much everything. Nothing I will say is I don't think people are thinking we're going to go line here just because we got Mekhi Becton last year, who's actually been pretty good. And so I think the big needs here are probably, or big needs for this draft are defensive end, or something in the secondary or wide receiver. This is very much early for wide receiver. So here I think the big choices for me are Kayvon Thibodeau or Sauce Gardner. Or I know some people are saying, what is his name? Kyle Hamilton. I don't really think we're going to pick another safety after Jamal Adams, which he was amazing, but we also ended up trading him. So maybe this is just me being a salty Jets fan, but I think I'd go with Kayvon Thibodeau. I just think defensive ends have the biggest impact on the draft. So I think that's where I'm going with that. He's very physical. He's an incredibly good player. He does maybe need to develop a little bit, but it's not like we're competing this year anyways. It's not an issue with the Jets. And yeah.
Next up, pick number 5, my New York Giants. And as everyone has said so far, every team that's drafting has a lot of holes. Giants got holes, O-line, D-line, secondary, linebackers, lots of holes. But I think the biggest gap, all the holes. I think the biggest gap in this Giants team is O-line. And I think the best O-lineman in this draft with the highest potential, and that is who I'm picking, is Evan Neal out of Alabama.
My turn. Okay. So the Panthers are up next with pick 6. And this is really a make or break year for Scott Fitterer and Matt Rule and kind of the whole Carolina Panthers organization as a whole. Carolina has been talented the past 2 years, but they really have not achieved too much. They got off to a great start last year, going 3-0 behind some good play from Sam Darnold. But after that, Darnold started not to play well. PJ Walker came in, didn't really play well himself. The team as a whole just kind of collapsed and didn't really do too hot towards the end of the season. But at the end of the day, the offense has some really solid pieces in DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, and probably is the best running back in the league with Christian McCaffrey and another solid running back in Chuba Hubbard. So I think the Panthers are going to go quarterback here and take the best quarterback in the draft, which is Malik Willis. Malik Willis is the best arm talent in the draft, and Carolina is a place where Willis will have to start directly and have some help from Sam Darnold. It's also a place where he would not have to make every play for the team. He could use his mobility immediately to give Carolina's offense a new dimension and could lean off the run with Christian McCaffrey being back healthy and as a very, very dominant running back. And Willis is a smart cookie as well. He had the 3rd highest Wonderlic score, which for those of you who don't know is like kind of an intelligence test that all the quarterbacks do before the draft. He had the 3rd highest out of the entire quarterback draft class with a score of 32. So I think he's going to pick up Matt Rule's complicated offense immediately and has a chance of starting from day 1 for the Panthers. So I think Malik Willis is the best pick for the Panthers here and will add an entirely new dimension to the team.
I think good pick.
All right. With the 7th pick, the Giants are going to take quarterback out of Cincinnati, Sauce Gardner. I think that this is a great pick for a pretty weak defensive back. And also, I think that he will be the next all-pro corner following Jalen Ramsey's footsteps. So I think he's a great pick for the Giants.
I got the Falcons, and I was going to go Malik Willis, but Max snatched him right from under me. Listen, the Falcons, another team that need a lot. They're selling this offseason for sure. So I think this is a team that you need to pick the most talented player. Listen, I know this is not one of their biggest needs, but I'm going to go Kyle Hamilton. I am big on Kyle Hamilton. It's not one of the biggest needs, but listen, the Falcons got so many needs. Let's start off with the most talented player in the draft left. That is my expert opinion as the Falcons GM doing all the research is Kyle Hamilton. He's long. He's a great safety. He showed great, I love players who can show great film in college. There's really no weakness to his game except maybe the one thing is nothing super stands out, like maybe a Sauce Gardner who's like so good at defending the no touchdowns. But listen, he's perfect for the position. He'll just give Falcons a playmaker. That's what they need. Give me Kyle Hamilton.
Okay, so I'm next with the new look Seahawks, and they have a couple needs. I don't know if they go quarterback right here at number 9. I don't think there's anybody, especially with 2 quarterbacks off the or one. How many quarterbacks are off the board so far? One quarterback, especially with Malik Willis off the board, who has the highest ceiling. So I'm looking at a couple of different guys here. Charlie Cross, the tackle. I'm looking at Jermaine Johnson, the edge rusher, and Derrick Stingley, the injury-prone cornerback. I think cornerback's more of someone you go with when you're trying to finish out a team. I don't think you really build around a cornerback. So I'm going to go Jermaine Johnson, the defensive end from Florida State. ACC Player of the Year. He's going to play every down for you. Extremely high motor. He's going to go after the pass rusher. He's the kind of guy, good pass rush makes your secondary better. That's what Jermaine Johnson's going to do. He's going to get after the quarterback, and that's going to make this weak secondary play up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's a very good pick, but I'm just happy you left me my pick. I think I'm easily going to go with Garrett Wilson. The Jets have a lot of needs, and the Jets have a good receiver in Elijah Moore and a decent receiver in Corey Davis, but they really don't have a number 1. He's big, he's strong, he's really, really fast. He may need to find a route running a little bit, but he's a comp for CeeDee Lamb, and I think he's clearly the best receiver in this draft. So I think that's an easy pick for me getting Garrett Wilson.
Okay. Sorry, I was muted for a sec. Okay, so the Commanders now have the pick, the Washington Commanders at pick 11, and this is a team that's really in a weird spot right now. They had some really poor quarterback play for last year from Taylor Heineke, who never really elevated the team and, if anything, really brought it down in most of his games. And they brought in Carson Wentz this offseason after he put together a solid season in Indianapolis to kind of like steady the ship and hopefully improve the offense a little bit. Wentz has some good weapons with Gibson, Terry McLaurin, and Logan Thomas, so the offense could take a solid step forward next year. And the team could be a sneakily good team, but there are holes in their defense, especially in the secondary. So I think that the Commanders will here go with Andrew Booth. He's the best remaining quarterback so far, and he's really been a proven and successful player in the SEC, the hardest conference in college football, and has been a good starter for Clemson during his entire time there. He's a big corner. He's really long, really lengthy, and has very good ball skills. And most importantly, he's a fantastic corner in press coverage, which is a must for a Ron Rivera defense.
Max,
so I think
ACC, not the SEC.
ACC, apologies. So I believe the best pick here is for the Commanders is to go Andrew Booth, cornerback out of Clemson.
All right, that leaves me as Alex's favorite team, the Vikings, the Purple People Eaters. They have the 12th pick, and again, another team. They have good pieces. They have some shoddy pieces. They signed Darius Smith. They got a good linebacker in Corvalson. So it's hard to show what are you going to go with this team. So when you're not fully sure what this not what the team needs, but what direction you're going to go, a safe option is offensive line to protect the franchise, which is Kirk Cousins. Which, if I was Vikings GM before, I would never have signed Kirk Cousins. But hey, I just got hired. So because of this, and it just so happened that the best player on my board all around is Charles Cross from Mississippi State. Excellent feet, athleticism, and quickness. A little undersized, sure. There's definitely some things he needs to refine on his game, but I think I really think he can be a great pick for the Vikings. You can move one of their offensive tackles to guard, free up makes the offensive line a bit more versatile themselves, protects Kirk Cousins, and I'll take Charles Cross.
Okay, so I have the Texans, and we're still picking the best available player on the board, and there's still a lot of good players, but I'm going to go with the cornerback Derrick Stingley out of LSU. Bit of a boomer bust because he had that season-ending injury in September, but people think he might be better when healthy than Sauce Gardner. Excellent ball skills, can play any type of coverage, can play outside, can line up inside. It's really just the injuries, and he started at LSU as a freshman. Think about how hard that is to do, especially with all those good defensive backs they have. So give me Derrick Stingley for the Texans. So Stingley and Ike Ekwonu, 2 good picks for the Texans by old Daniel Fox.
So for me, I have the Ravens, my adopted city, and my adopted team. So the Jets are competitive again.
I did that on purpose, by the way. I gave you the Ravens on purpose.
Yes, no, thank you. I appreciate it. I am involved. And the thing I will say is I'm a little bit annoyed that Ellis took Charles Cross because I was really hoping he'd fall to me for this pick. I still think I'm going offensive lineman, though. I think that's definitely the Ravens' biggest need. To me, I'm going probably, in my opinion, the best offensive lineman on the board, Tyler Linderbaum. Just a fun fact, he was a 6'4" athlete in high school, which is kind of insane to me. He is a center-only prospect, but the Ravens need a center, so that doesn't really matter for them. I think definitely the best center on the board, and I think that's an easy pick for me.
All right, next up, the Philadelphia Eagles, the terrible Philly team. But honestly, this team has a lot of great players, and I think they've got a good one in Jalen Hurts there. Got a great running back by committee there too, and the O-line is solid. Defensively, they're pretty good. Secondary is solid. So I think the biggest hole for this Eagles team, meanwhile, they're trying to shop one of their receivers, Jalen Reagor. I don't know how that's going to go. Regardless if they shop him or not, I think the biggest hole for this Eagles team is wide receiver. And I'm taking who am I taking? Chris Olave. I'm taking Chris Olave out of Ohio State. Had a great year last year, just under 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns for the Buckeyes. And I think he gives Jalen Hurts a real number 1 option at receiver. So Chris Olave is the pick here.
Very, very nice. Very nice. Picking next are the New Orleans Saints. And I'm a little bit happy with that last pick because I also wanted a wide receiver here, just a bit of a different one. But the Saints are kind of in a weird spot right now. They have a new coach, and they're going into a new regime, having moved on from Sean Payton, or Sean Payton retiring himself. And there's question marks all over the roster. We don't know who the wide receiver 1 is. Is Michael Thomas going to come back? Is he even going to play for the Saints? Will Alvin Kamara be playing after his recent arrest this offseason? Is Jameis Winston going to be the guy going forward? Can he really elevate this New Orleans Saints roster? However, though, with Michael Thomas's uncertainty, I think wide receiver is the biggest need so far for the Saints team. So I think the Saints should pick Jameson Williams, wide receiver out of Alabama. This is probably the fastest wide receiver in the class. He likely would have broken the NFL 40-yard dash combine record if he actually was able to run, having torn his ACL in the national championship game. He's a deep threat receiver, so when he comes back and is healthy, he should complement really well with Jameis Winston's play style. And he's a guy who could consistently make plays and has had proven good success in college. Last year, he had more than 70 catches and over 1,600 yards. And I feel like this production and his overall skill set will translate really well to the NFL and give the Saints an all-pro wide receiver.
All right, I'm the Chargers, and the Chargers are contending. They need to get a piece that can contend. I would have taken Jameson Williams because you can't pass up on the talent. But Max stole him from right underneath me. So let's look at the defensive end, because I think that offense, yes, they could use Burks, but I think it's a bit high for him. Maybe we trade up later if this was a real thing, but there's no trades here. So let's look at the defensive end. There's a reason why the Chargers got Khalil Mack, and that is because they suffered. They got torn apart in the run game, defensively at least. That is the Chargers last year, torn apart. And offensively, they'll be just fine. They have a good line. They have Herbert. They've got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. They'll do them just fine. But defensively, they need another run stopper for the complement Khalil Mack. Why not Jordan Davis? I mean, talk about a freak of an athlete and a human. This man just seems like, I feel like he's going to be in there. He's going to produce right away as a run stopper. He might not have the biggest ceiling as an everyday player, but as an everyday down player. But man, I think he's going to stuff the run. I think he's going to be graded one of the best. That will do it, I think, in this league soon to come, just because of his size and strength, much less his, forget his skill for a second. He's just that guy when it comes to run stopping. I like that. It's a perfect fit for the Chargers.
Oh, so you want to talk about perfect fit? I know we're not competing here, but I can't believe you guys let Devin Lloyd fall to me at the Eagles at 18, the best linebacker in this class. He's going to play every down for an Eagles defense that needs sort of a defensive identity. He's speedy. He's athletic. He's going to go sideline to sideline for you. He's going to rush the passer. He's could drop into coverage. He's super intelligent. I mean, this is the kind of player that remakes your defense, and you don't get that player very often at number 18.
All right, next up, I am number 19 with the Saints. And I just want to congratulate Max, my other Saints pick for Jameson Williams. That was definitely the guy I was hoping would fall to me, and I think that was a tremendous pick. Now, I will say this might be kind of controversial, but I don't think Jameis Winston's the answer. And honestly, for me, it would be between a quarterback and Trevor Penning here. But I think if he falls to me, I will go QB with Kenny Pickett. I do agree that Malik Willis is better, but I think it's by inches, not miles. He has outstanding instinct. He can throw receivers open. He is probably the most NFL ready quarterback at this moment. And I don't think Jameis Winston's the answer. I think Kenny Pickett can be. And I think this is a good place for him, especially since we got another first round pick. And honestly, I'd be excited to see it. And again, I think the nice thing with Jameis Winston is that he doesn't necessarily have to start immediately, because Jameis Winston, I don't think he's a long-term answer, but he's certainly serviceable. So yeah, I think I'd take Kenny Pickett with the second first round pick if he falls to this point.
All right, I think it was a very stupid pick by Jeremy. I'm not going to lie. I don't think taking a is the right pick there for the Saints.
Actually, I like
but you got to give me a minute now to take my pick.
Were you going to pick Kenny Pickett?
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, so you don't think it's a stupid pick? You just think I was
No,
smarter
I
than you
do.
to take
I
it
don't think the
before
Saints
you.
are going to take a quarterback at all.
Okay.
Also, Rizzo homered again. Second homer of the game.
I'm just think you're mad I took your pick, but to each their own.
No, I don't really care.
Sure. You're trying your best, buddy.
Beef. Oh, I don't pick for a while. All right, just kidding.
Yeah, no. I don't know. I don't honestly know. if it
Pickett
worked
makes a
out,
lot
but
of sense in Pittsburgh, though.
He does.
Well, yeah, because he's
Kid. I mean, Pickett's gonna go sixth.
The honest
You know,
answer
that's
is
what-
I do think that Pittsburgh's a slightly better fit for Pickett than the Saints. I will say that. I do, but the thing else, that's what I think is that as the Saints, if he's available at the second pick, I do think you have to take him.
You guys still, I don't know who my next team is, but all right, if you guys
Hey, don't say anything. 'Cause
my favorite player in the draft is still on the board.
I have someone I'm waiting on, and I can't have anyone pick him, so don't freaking.
But I think Max might be a dick. Oh no, wait, Max you guys, he's not lasting.
Yeah, I like Kobe Dean too. Anyway, go on. Jacob, let's go. 20.
All right. With the next pick, we know the Steelers obviously are in need of a quarterback, but unfortunately that is not available here. So we're going to go to the defensive side of the ball. And we're going to go on the linebacking core right here. And this pick is one of the best college linebackers last year. After Devin Lloyd, definitely the best. Really performed in the college football playoffs. And I think Dan knows who it is. We're taking the Kobe Dean out of Alabama. Sorry, Alabama? Georgia. No.
Yes, Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia.
The Kobe
Literally
Dean.
every
Georgia.
defensive player from this draft is from Georgia.
True. Okay. So now we're at pick 21, which is the Patriots pick. So obviously the most exciting pick in the whole draft. The Patriots really have a few team needs, mainly in the defensive line, offensive line, and at quarterback. The Pats were a really good team last year. They made it into the playoffs with a rookie quarterback, which doesn't happen very often. And they made some good
And
improvements
they
in the
really had
offseason.
to, he was a liability, wouldn't you say, Max? They had to really carry him.
No, I think since he was in the rookie of the year conversation, he wasn't really a liability. Maybe you should look at the stats again, but I feel like that's a topic for another time. But moving back to the Patriots' changes over the offseason, they improved their offense a little bit by bringing in Devontae Parker, a high potential signing at wide receiver. They also improved the defensive side of the ball as well, specifically the secondary, by bringing in Malcolm Butler, Jabril Peppers, Terrence Mitchell, to kind of fill the gap after J.C. Jackson's departure. They also re-signed Jawan Bentley and Devin McCourty, as well as re-signing Trent Brown. But still, the team's biggest needs, in my opinion, are O-line and the D-line. And I think Bill Belichick would be really happy in this situation because there is one name that has fallen down the draft board who really should not be falling this far, and that is Trevor Penning. This is a big-ass boy, a huge offensive lineman, at 6'7", weighing 325 pounds. He's a fantastic run blocker, and it'll be a great scheme fit for the Patriots. He's a tremendous athlete from a small school, which for anyone who's a bit of a Patriots fan should know that that gets Bill Belichick going. That's exactly what he looks for in a prospect. And then he can also slot in at tackle or guard. So he's going to be a day one starter for the Patriots, most likely starting at left tackle or right tackle, while Isaiah Wynn slots into a guard position. But yeah, so I think the Patriots are going to take Trevor Penning here.
I got the Green Bay picks here, and just Packers haters rest assured that no matter who I pick, Aaron Rodgers will still lose in the playoffs. But regardless, we have to pretend like that won't happen because we're sticking with Aaron. I'm immunized Rodgers. And let's get him some help because he's never had help in his life. They trade away Devontae Adams. So let's get a receiver. This is hard because I have two receivers in mind. There's three players I have in mind, but I'm going to go with the one that I've seen most tape on. I really like. I just think he's a solid player. I think Allen Lazard's your number 2. But Drake London is your number 1. He is a great player.
No!
Yes, he got injured.
No!
God,
yes, he got injured. But he's 6'5", really good, physical player. And he's just technically sound. I think, especially with Rodgers, I think this floor is a wide receiver 2. So even if he never, unless he gets injured, but if he never reaches potential, I still think this will be a valuable pick. And the Packers never pick receivers, so give me Drake London.
Wow, I really wanted Drake London for the Cardinals. I mean, he's Mike Evans personified, 6'5", 210, but he's not my pick. So I got the Cardinals, and the Cardinals' 2 biggest needs are guard and center. So why not get a guy who could do both? I'm going to go Zion Johnson, the offensive guard / center from Boston College. Kyler Murray is the franchise. You can't have him running for your life. And, they're going to try and do the power run with James Conner. How about getting a guy who's going to push some guys around up the middle in the run game? He's pretty developed as far as rookies go. He's going to step in right away and be a day one starter.
Damn. Honestly, I'm kind of frustrated with this Cowboys pick because I was hoping to get Penning or Drake. So I think I'm feeling a little bit if I'm a little bit kind of thrown off. So the thing I think for the Cowboys, I was thinking is that they either probably would get a defensive lineman here because you don't know how reliable DeMarcus Lawrence, and I know their D-line's been a little bit banged up, or you would get an offensive lineman. Honestly, there's no offensive lineman I'm loving right now. So I might go George Karfalatis from Purdue. He's physical and violent hands, but he has incredible upside, and I think he'd be a good pick here.
I actually love the pick. I think it just makes the Cowboys defense.
Yeah, and again,
crazy.
I would have preferred one of the other 2, but if they're not going to fall to me, then that's the way the draft goes.
All right, next up, me and Shane are representing the Buffalo Bills, and Shane's going to take this pick away.
All right, so Buffalo Bills, I think here, they could go running back. They could go cornerback, honestly. They could even go offensive line to protect Josh Allen. And I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to go offensive line. I think they're going to go with Kenyon Green. I think he's a great guard, and they have all-pro potential and a solid pick because his floor is great and his ceiling is amazing. He's extremely physical and explosive, and I think that his projections are only all-pro level. So
Very nice, very nice. So now we have the Titans picking at 26. And as I've said a few times before, I think some of the franchises that I've drafted for in the past are in a little bit of a weird position, but I think the Titans are the strangest out of them all. They were the 2 seed last year in the AFC, but they lost in the divisional. They have a top defense and a great offense running off of Derrick Henry, but they really couldn't go very far in the playoffs. They made some smart signings with Austin Hooper and bringing in Robin, and they also brought in Robert Woods. But I think this team's main question is whether Ryan Tannehill is their guy and whether he can win games in the playoffs. And as much as I love Tannehill, and I was happy to see him move out of Miami and make a bit more of a name for himself as a quarterback, he's getting older, and he's not going to have Derrick Henry running his offense in front of him forever. He was very much a game manager last year, and he only threw for 21 touchdowns and about 200 yards a game, which is not really what you want or really what you need either if you want to win the Super Bowl. And Tennessee has a great roster, but they're not ever going to get close to winning it all with Tannehill at the helm. And more importantly, Tannehill's going to be looking for an extension next offseason. And the Titans really don't want to be in a position where they're going to be paying top dollar to a quarterback who really is not that good. And for that reason, I think the Titans are going to go quarterback here. And I think their pick is going to be Matt Corral, quarterback out of Ole Miss. This dude is really has elite traits, quick feet, and great acceleration. So he's good on the ground and is a real threat running the ball and with the ball in his hands. He's elite, and he'll be elite in RPO offense. It can be very extremely successful in a run first scheme, which is what Mike Vrabel wants to run anyway. He's a beautiful, quick release, and he probably has the best pocket presence out of all the rookies in this draft. And to be honest, in terms of arm strength, he's right up there with Malik Willis, and he has some fantastic arm talent. It's going to take some time for him to develop and really get up to pace with the NFL, and it's good that he's going to have Tannehill in front of him. But I think Matt Corral could be the guy for the Tennessee Titans in the future.
Okay, this is really tough for me picking for my Tampa Bay Buccaneers because you guys are letting Trent McDuffie, the third best cornerback in a strong cornerback class, just fall. He's the 12th rated prospect. I'm here picking at 27, but the Bucs, they brought back Jamel Dean. They got Murphy Bunting. They got Carlton Davis.
Please.
So I can't go quarterback there. So what I'm going to pick a guy who's going to fill in for one of the guys who they didn't bring back, and that's going to be Devontae Wyatt, the D tackle from Georgia. He's going to fill in for Ndamukong Suh, who's still unsigned. They might bring him back, but Devontae Wyatt, went over him. This dude is one of the best interior pass rushers in the entire draft. He plays a little bit out of control, but the speed is there. You don't get this kind of speed from a D tackle. And most importantly, he's going to play all three downs for you because he's good against the run and the pass. So you put him next to my second favorite Tampa Bay Buccaneer, Vita Vea, Golston and Barrett on the outside. Who, Nelly, you got a D line there.
All right. So you know what? Let's try to, like, I know Aaron Rodgers is gonna bitch anyway, but let's try to satisfy his stupid ass ego. Dan's loving this. So let's look at the Packers. Like, they've got a good O-line. I know they were banged up last year, but let's look at their offense, right? Their defense took some hits this year, but I still think they're solid. They're no longer elite like last year, but they're solid. They have a good O-line. Robert Tonyan, I like at tight end. He can block and he's an end zone threat. Perfect. Lazard is your 2. Perfect. London now we just drafted. Hopefully that's your 1. But I wouldn't say London's dynamic. So let's get us some potential Tyreek Hill action here. Let's get someone dynamic. Personally, I don't love him as a player, but you gotta take the upside. And other than Jameson Williams, I don't think you can make an argument that I think you can make a very easy argument that he has the most upside out of the wide receiver class. That is Treylon Burks, led the SEC with 22 plays of 20 plus yards. Great track of the ball. And when the ball's in his hands, similar like Tyreek Hill, man, he can move. But yes, there's some issues. He's undeveloped as a route runner. He has shown major issues at times. But you already have London, the sure thing. Let's get someone dynamic. Let's get Rodgers a 4-headed monster with Aaron Jones a 5-headed monster. I think this offense is elite. This defense is solid, and Packers are going to make another run that'll just fall just short.
Well, can I just say, I do like the pick. In strategically wise, with the Packers picking, there's no way in hell they're picking 2 receivers in the first round. It's just
it might not be the most realistic, but I think I still would like it.
I think it's a good pick actually. So for me, that makes my pick easy because that was the one I was debating.
Ellis, write him in.
I know everyone with the Chiefs is thinking replacement for Tyreek Hill, but I think they'll want us to be okay with Nicole, Hardman, Juju, and who's the third guy again? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting. Third, anyway.
Third guy. Wait, what? Why am I forgetting now? You're making me forget.
They don't really have
Kelsey,
of course, yeah.
Pringle left, and so did.
Well, Kelsey's their 1.
Yeah, Kelsey's their 1. Like,
well, I think though, I honestly do think, especially with Kelsey, they'll be okay. And I just think they need a cornerback, and McDuffie's still here, and he's by far, at least in my opinion, the best prospect yet. He's a little bit undersized, but he's an elite athlete. He can play man and zone, so he can have him on the field all the time. He's a good tackler. And just with that being a cornerback being one of your needs, I don't see how you can pass up on a player like McDuffie at this point in the draft.
My last pick of the draft for GM Kasdan. And we're taking the Chiefs here. Obviously lost Tyreek Hill, but I think they have a good O-line. They have good running backs. They have a fantastic quarterback, obviously. And I think they get by on offensively with receivers and tight ends. So we're going to go defense. We're going to go secondary. We're going to go safety. Taking Louis Cine out of Georgia from the Georgia Bulldogs. He can really do everything for them. Led them in tackles last year and just a great defensive back safety here. Obviously, he's a great physical run defender. He can get in the box. He can play down low. He's a little undersized, little light, but he's got great athleticism and he's got some massive potential. So Louis Cine is the pick.
Awesome. So now we're at pick 31, which is the Bengals pick. The Bengals were so close to winning the Super Bowl last year. They made it there. They just ultimately fell a little bit short versus the Rams. They have a fantastic roster headed into this year, which has only improved since last year. They improved the O-line of Alex Kappa and Lyle Collins, and they also brought a good tight end, Hayden Hurst, to replace CJ Uzomah. And most importantly, they re-signed a star cornerback, Eli Apple, to further bolster the secondary. But I still think the biggest hole on the roster is our cornerbacks and defensive backs. So I think they'll go to that position here. And I think they'll take Khair Lam, the cornerback out of Florida. He's a really physical corner who's really quick, speedy guy, and has great ball skills. And I think he's personally, in my own opinion, he's going to shoot up draft boards. I don't think he's going to be available here at 31. And he really has the potential to be a shutdown corner. And I think he could finally help push the Bengals into making it to the Super Bowl.
Okay, so I have pick 32. And it's the Lions pick that they got from the Rams in the Matthew Stafford deal. So I'm going to go with the quarterback. Okay, I think we all know Jared Goff isn't the answer. The Lions already, they got their pass rusher of the future in Aidan Hutchinson. Aidan Hutchinson. Aidan Hutchinson. My apologies. So I'm going to go with the quarterback. So the question is, who am I going to take? So I went into this draft thinking, okay, I got the Lions at 32. I'm going to go Sam Howell, quarterback out of North Carolina. But you guys let Mr. Desmond Ridder fall, and he's just a perfect player for this situation. Oh, Max doesn't like it? You don't like it?
Ridder sucks. Have you ever watched him throw a football?
Oh, come on. I like it. Come on.
Whoa.
For what?
Okay,
For what? He got terrible numbers. He can barely throw. Everyone just likes that he's a leader and was on a good team.
He's
I can throw. Well,
Have you seen it?
Sam Howell? You think Sam Howell can
baseball.
make the throws?
Yes, he's a way better mechanic.
Get out of here.
You're telling me the guy who runs well.
Howell is better mechanics than Ridder.
I think Desmond Ridder, he can make every throw. He's a super confident
No,
kid.
he can.
He needs to improve a little accuracy, a little consistency, a little bit more timing, but that will come in sitting behind Jared Goff for a year. And I think he's going to be sort of an explosive kind of player. He'll make some mistakes, but he's the guy for the Lions here.
He's a better runner than Matt Corral, and he's a much better passer.
Ridder was a 3-year starter, man. You thought he would be tearing apart the teams that Cincinnati plays.
Max,
he had like 3,000 yards and like a 65% completion percentage.
Hold up. You're going to tell me, listen, I'm not the biggest Ridder fan, but you're not going to come here and sit and tell me that Ridder's worse than Howell.
Yeah, for sure he is.
Howell
in terms of potential?
Howell played shit in college. No way.
No, he did not.
Yes,
last year he was good. Last year was fantastic. And this year he was
totally agree with Max here.
No, I actually disagree. Howell's like Darnold. He's been living off his high school mixtape for his whole fucking career.
He was very good last year. Exceptional.
2 years ago, you mean? 2 years ago.
No, last year.
No, last year's ass.
I'm thinking the long term. We're the Lions. We're going long term. And
I agree with Dan here. I don't like Howell. That's why.
I
don't put Ridder over Corral. I don't put Ridder over Corral. I think Corral's barely over Ridder. Barely.
Corral, if anything, he just gets knocked away too much because he didn't play in a very pro level offense and he's a bit of a dick. But I think he'll figure it out by sitting behind it.
How do you know he could go in there and make it and be a pro style quarterback?
Because his mechanics are awesome. His mechanics are probably the best in the draft.
He is true. Corral's mechanics.
And he has a great arm.
Now,
and he still put up very good numbers this year, even in a very simple offense.
All right. Well, Max, anybody have some takeaways from the draft? I was very surprised when Max took Booth as the second quarterback.
Yeah, me too. I like Jeremy's George Karlaftis pick. I think the Cowboys have a really good young defense.
Max,
I didn't like Stingley. I think Stingley slipped off very hard.
Me and Max have disagreements on the quarterbacks.
Bro, he sucked last year. Not last year. Last year he was injured, but 2 years ago he was quite bad. As a sophomore, when people thought he would improve.
First off, he hasn't been healthy.
His freshman year was very good. His sophomore year was not good.
I said he's a boomer bust kind of guy.
No,
I said he's a boomer bust guy, and it matters if he stays healthy.
No, he
was starting as a freshman at LSU.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything after that.
if we're
Like
talking
even
about
like in his
other-
next year where he was healthy, he was not good. Like he was a minus player for the LSU defense.
I don't know.
And like honestly, if I'm picking at 11, I want someone who I know is going to play well and is not going to bust.
But like who? I think I actually did, Dan here.
I think Booth will be a solid player. I don't think he's going to be an all-pro, but I think he'll be a solid cornerback. And in my opinion, he was probably the best on the board. And I think he's a little bit better than McDuff just due to his experience.
McDuffie's undersized. That's the only thing that you could point
Also,
against
can I
him.
just
Other than
say-
that, he's good all around.
What?
Can I just say I'm so happy to have gotten McDuffie at 29. I feel like that's such a
Yeah,
steal.
no,
That was
it's
such
great.
a steal.
It's
I
a great
wanted to
pick.
take him, and I really.
I honestly like what he did with the Packers, to be honest. Like, not to.
They will
far.
never
I
do
like that. No, I like that.
They'll never do that. It's not realistic, but I like
Rogers
that.
would still complain about not getting enough help.
That's
No,
fine.
he would.
The other picks I really liked is
I don't think I think this is pretty realistic overall, though.
the thing I'll say is I'm gonna say this partly because they stole from me. But yeah, I really like Drake London to the Packers because to be fair, I wanted him at the Cowboys, but I think
I
that's
want
a
him
steal.
so bad.
And I
will
really
say-
like and Max, I'll give it to you. I really like Trevor Penning. I think that was a really good pick.
There were some
I
things
was
here and
honestly
there.
so surprised he fell that far.
There were some things
But
here and
it's
there
all
that I
good.
disagreed with. That there's something that I disagreed with, but like overall, I thought it was pretty realistic, pretty good draft. So good job,
Yeah.
boys.
Well,
And there'll
look,
be trades.
look,
There'll
the
be
thing-
trades too.
the thing
Yeah.
I will say, and I know this may not be entirely accurate because this was picking off of what we think they should do, what we think they should do, not what we think they will do, like Elta with the
True.
Packers. But I think, look, we can see with the actual draft how many, if any, of these picks we got right.
And we'll post these pics on Instagram. But that's all for this episode. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Max, for coming on. A bunch of special guests. How exciting! If you want to start a podcast on Buzzsprout, get your thoughts out to the world. Go do that. Link is use the promo code in our bio. You get the first month for use the promo code in our bio. And if you want to get more content out, paid plan gives you special stuff. You can also do the free plan. But yeah, just use our promo code in our bio for good stuff like that to get your thoughts out to the world. It's fun. If you want to start a podcast, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you can get your podcast. Our most listened to, of course, is Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We have episodes come out Saturday and Sunday. And yeah, so do that. Leave a 5-star rating now that Spotify has that. Apple Podcast has always had that. We always appreciate the reviews from the fans. We've recently had an uptick in views. Thank you so much for that as well. Our best month since May. So it's great to see. Thank you for sticking with us. Social media, Instagram and Twitter, WOT.PODCAST. That's what.podcast. Twitter. We post sometimes updates or thoughts. Standings are always up there too. Plus when the new podcast is out. Plus the podcast links in our bio. Instagram, same thing. Podcast links in our bio. There we post polls. We're very interactive, so you should give that a follow. Also we post some nice photoshops. Stuff like that. Sound bites from some clips. So yeah, go subscribe there, like all our good stuff. Comment. YouTube, where we post the highlights of every episode, our clips, so you can see our pretty faces, Max's flow, Jeremy's sexiness all together, Dan's top of his head. But yeah, so watch on YouTube at Who's on Top of the WHO_S space ON space COP by the same for Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Like, subscribe, comment. You all turn on notifications for that too. All that good stuff. Future episodes. All right. Next episode, we got draft recap where we recap the actual draft. See if we got how many picks we got right. And then we got episode 100. We have something special planned for that. 100 episodes of Who's on Top, 2.5 years. So we're going to have a little festival. But yeah, as always, have a good week. Stay safe, stay healthy. If you're a college kid, good luck with finals. Hope you enjoy the podcast this weekend. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.